Oh my God. Oh my God, is it loud? Oh my God, it's Monday. Monday. MF and motherfucking Monday. Push the button. Oh my God, push the button. I did. It's official. It's official. I pushed the button. And I don't know why this screen over here is being weird today. I don't know why. I don't know. Somebody figure it out. Somebody tell me about Veterans Day why this screen over here, which is inverted when I point at it, is acting weird. I don't know why. Something is weird about it. I don't even know what is weird about it. It's just weirding me out. You just never know with these monitors, I guess. Branton Lightcap? Who's Branton Lightcap? I've never seen that name before in the chat. Who is that? Who's Branton Lightcap? Let's go to their channel. We're going to take a look. Branton Lightcap went on a hike at the confluence. Let's check. Let's check if this is the confluence in Eastern Washington. Okay, Branton's a beardy tattoo guy. Okay, that's Mark. That's a good thing. So far, so good. This does look like Eastern Washington. Let's see if we get any definitive markers. No, might not be. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out eventually. Oh, my back hurts. My back hurts today, folks, just in case anybody was wondering. Yeah, we'll find out. Been on here before. I'm in Wisconsin. Oh, okay. There's a confluence in Washington that everyone calls the confluence. Okay. Okay. But it does look kind of like Eastern Washington. But then it's looking too green, so I guess that does make sense. Okay. Okay. What happened to autoplay? Autoplay is on, autoplay is off. Okay, I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, Branton, I'm going to check out some of your videos later. Let's see. I got plants from Crypt Keeper Aquatics 3 weeks ago. Okay, I'm going to watch that video. I'm going to click on it. I'm not watching it like during stream. I've got it paused, and I'm going to watch it later. And I will give you an honest review of some kind at some point. I don't know when. At some point, I will. Well, what's up, man? Good to see you. Oh my God, there's so many new names here today. Okay. Thank you, Witchy Cat, for the $5 USD super chat from the bot. Yes. And by the way, it's an unsolicited bot. I didn't hire the FishFam Link bot. Just so anybody, so we're clear on that. First off, we don't know if the FishFam Link bot is actually a bot. We still don't know. We still can't verify if the FishFam Link bot is actually a bot or not. Say that a few times fast. We don't know. We don't know. Okay. We don't know, and we may never know. We may never know. We may never know, but we could resign to the fact that we may never know. But everyone's supposed to hit the like button, and I'm supposed to stay at the beginning of the video. And certain people get pissed if I don't say hit the like button at the beginning of the video. Your live was shared in a Facebook group. That's why I found you. Oh my God, who shared my live in a Facebook group? What group was it? Hopefully it was one that talks about greenhouses or fish or construction. You'll notice I have plywood in the background. And people that follow my channel will notice that this giant stack of plywood, it used to show up about this big. Now it's, well, hold on, how do I do this all inverted? Now it's this size. It used to be much bigger. It's getting smaller, folks. And that, you know what that means? That means that plywood is making its way into projects, which is great. As a matter of fact, some people hired me to remodel their garage. So, as a preppers group, okay, the eventually the remodel garage video, when that comes out, will be helpful for a preppers group, because it's literally creating a bunch of storage space inside an elderly couple's garage. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the American garage system. You basically get a room with a big roll-up door, similar to the one that's in the background back here. There's actually a garage door back there. I decided to put in a garage door in here because then I can move everything in and out of here, garage door style, like these fish tanks. I can just bring a fish tank in and just walk in. Anyhow, you get this garage and it's like unfinished sheetrock. You know, it's just mudded. That's it. And they go, well, there's your garage. Figure it out. And it's unfortunate because then people, they just stick nails into the drywall and they hang a broom from it, and then they wonder 6 weeks later why the thing falls right off the wall. People are confused as to what sheetrock is. I think they think it's a permanent structure, but I always try to remind people that it's gypsum surrounded by paper. So if you understand that, maybe your expectations of how well it works will calm down. But rebuilding that whole space for them to be usable to store stuff. So I built these giant cabinets, and I'll have a video out later about how to build those in a way that a regular human can actually carry them. Because when you got 3/4 inch plywood and you build a cabinet that's like 80 inches tall by, I believe they're, oh, don't get me on this one, guys. I think they're 26 or 28 inches deep, and then they're this similar wide. So you think, wow, that's a really big pantry-style cabinet. Yeah, it is. They become unwieldy with the mounting process and carrying them around and doing all that stuff. Well, I build them in a way that alleviates most of that concern. So you're able to install them as a one-man crew, because I typically am a one-man crew. It is very difficult to find good help these days, and I will remind you, to those small business owners out there that are looking for good help, when you find good help, do not expect them to be around for too long. Because the good help, I found, they tend to either start their own businesses and or move on to a company. You know, they get hired on somewhere, and then they end up at a company, and you're like, hey, are you available for 2 weeks? And then they go like, no, I work at fucking the Bezos factory or whatever, you know. And you're like, damn it. And they're like, yeah, we got to work overtime because we got to move these boxes around. Speaking of the Bezos factory, we actually are an Amazon affiliate here. So if I'm doing, you guys notice I'm doing business today at the top of the show. I'm doing the business right at the beginning, because I don't want to get bogged down in the weeds at the beginning here and have people get distracted from what is really the whole reason for anybody ever doing anything, and that is being able to make a couple of dollars and exist and eat food. You know, that's like the whole thing. So we are an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy stuff through our affiliate links, you give us a commission, and it doesn't change your price, okay? We just end up being the advertiser. So here's an Amazon link, and it just happens to be for greenhouse repair tape. It's one of the things I want to talk about today, because I'm building another greenhouse, and I built a greenhouse just recently. The greenhouses are coming in hot and fast here in the winter. People are building greenhouses. That just happens to be greenhouse tape, but if you're going to order from the Bezos monster, go through that link, order whatever you were going to order, and we still get the advertising commission. And I'm holding back a weird burp situation here. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyhow, okay. So there's the Amazon links. You're supposed to hit the like button. If you want a super chat, I much appreciate it. If you want to become a member on this channel, I much appreciate it. If you don't want the money to go through Google, you can go to our Patreon page. As soon as I can find the link to my own Patreon page, I'll oblige it into the chat. It's a pretty easy one, because it's... Oh, my God. They've changed the pricing for... people on iPhones, I guess. I don't know. You get all these notifications at all times forever. Mine is pretty easy, because it's www.patreon.com/JOEL_C. There you go. That's how you go to it. Boom, you're there. You realize that you're a multi-billionaire, and funding leftist media is what you want to do now after the catastrophic result of this ridiculous election here in the United States. And you're like, I want to give this guy... How much did Tenant Media get? Wasn't that dipshit Tim Pool getting like $5 million a year? Tenant Media. If you guys don't know, the right-wing influencers were duped to work for Russian operation. The U.S. says they have millions of followers online. They have been major players in right-wing political discourse since Donald Trump was president, and they worked unknowingly for a company that was a front for a Russian influence operation. Now, I think they have to say that they worked unknowingly because it's alleged, but I don't think that there's any place in this world where you would show up, do the minimal amount of work, and make $500,000 a year, or $500,000 a month. $400,000 a month, which is $5 million a year, and then just be like, I didn't know. Yeah, they funneled nearly $10 million to a Tennessee-based content creation company for Russian-friendly content, which is just fucking absurd. These dipshits like Tim Pool go on the internet every day and claim that they know anything when they've literally been funneled fucking Russian talking points. It's just absolute nonsense. And by the way, I've talked to a lot of dipshit Tim Pool fans that over the years that claim that, oh yeah, he's just a centrist, like blah 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 blah. Just all the bullshit lies coming out of that guy's mouth. It's just unfucking fathomable and unbelievable at this point. And yet, those guys get all sorts of people showing up to give them millions of dollars, and yet we're still here with 61 patrons, or no, 61 members and 121 patrons. So, yeah. And somebody asked me, they were like, "Oh, what are you jealous?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would like to make $5 million a year for not doing anything." Am I jealous of that? Technically, you could equate that as an emotion that I would be having for somebody just getting $5 million a year, you know. So yeah, I guess I am jealous. Anyhow, moving on. Yeah, that's the thing from Grover. Yeah, I'd be asking a lot of questions if some rando company offers that kind of money. The investigation into it is that they sent a screenshot of an imaginary person that no one could verify online the existence of this person that was donating them the money, and then they still took the money, right? So very interesting that they couldn't verify the person that they were getting the money from. And they still were just like, yeah, okay, we'll cash that check, which to me is always a clear indication of the true, what do you want to say, motivation behind these people. And when I say these people, I mean these right-wing fucking wackos that have managed to sway enough Americans to vote for essentially what will be remembered as probably the most catastrophic administration of all time. And we're about to head down a certainly incredibly deep, dark path over the next, some people are saying 4 years, and I don't even think it's going to, I personally do not think it's going to take that long. I think this will all unfold within probably the first 6 to 8 months, and then the ball will really get rolling after a year. And unfortunately, it's going to lead to in my opinion, it's going to lead to the deaths of likely millions and millions of people. I don't think people understand fundamentally the danger that we are hurtling towards as an American. I almost said company, American country. Like this country is headed towards a shitstorm of things that I think even the Christian right probably don't even realize what they have voted for. I don't even think that they realize the restrictions that they voted for. I don't think they realize the laws that they have voted for. I think realistically what they have voted for in this Trump administration is Sharia law. I think is realistically the end game of Project 2025. For all of the times that they come out shrieking about how bad Muslims are and how bad the Muslim countries are, when they travel overseas, they see how bad it is. I fully believe that they 100% are going to enact all of those laws because they admire what is happening in those countries, and they want to bring that here. I believe all of their criticisms of it are superficial, anecdotal, and not even remotely accurate of their actual feelings. And I think what's really weird, as we've noticed over the years, more often than not, these people that claim this religious affiliation and then actually end up living under what would be that religious affiliation's rules, they really don't like it. They don't like it at all, and in fact, they end up breaking those rules and becoming and becoming completely opposed to it. I know a litany of people that grew up under these strict religious guidelines that wouldn't even wish that on their worst enemies, right? Of having to live under that. Not to mention, just on the outside chance that you would be a part of an organization that would essentially allow pedophiles to continue to be in a position of leadership within those groups. I don't understand how you even how supposedly these religious groups claim to care about the children and whatnot. When it was proven that the Catholic Church was covering up for pedophiles, I thought, oh, this will be the end of the Catholic Church. And nope, in fact, it's growing still and taking in more and more cash every single day into their coffers. But here we are, and there doesn't seem to be any level of depravity with the leadership of these religious groups, the people that will that are consistently in power in these religious groups in the United States. They never seem to come to justice, and this last election to me is absolute proof of that. I think that the weird thing about this whole election is it's strange to me that a lot of groups, 55% of white women voted for Donald Trump. And I think 55% of white women are one of two things. They are either categorically confused about the information that they've received, or in combination with that, they're completely uneducated about what is going on. So they're either one of two things. They've either been consistently lied to, or they consistently just don't care. And somebody I talked to recently said, like, I have to be the most misinformed person. You have to be the most misinformed person I ever on the internet. How about put a fucking sentence together, you piece of shit? Go fuck yourself. Anyhow, I think the reality of the constant stream of misinformation from groups like Fox News, who, by the way, lost $787 million for lying about Dominion, right? For consistently lying about the Dominion voting machines, and all of the documentation that came out about how all of the newscasters on Fox News knew that they were lying about this, and that they pressured themselves to continue to lie about it so that they wouldn't lose their audience. They were losing their audience to OAN and Max, and what is it? OAN and then Max something? I don't know. I'll remember it later. And James Wendell follows up with 55% of Hispanic men voted for Trump. I don't even know if that's an accurate number, because you have issues even writing out sentences. So, Newsmax, that's what it was. Yeah. These fucking bullshit channels that got made up so that right-wing billionaires can promote more fucking misinformation. Well, let's take a look. Let's see if we can verify the 55% of Latino men. Oh, we need to see vote demographics. Here we go. And by the way, this is actually one of the things that I've regularly talked about is that, and as a matter of fact, if you want to go see, there's a piece. I think John Oliver did a piece. Translating Trump. Let me see. Oh, that link is gone. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, one of the biggest issues with, the Spanish speaking community that actually voted for Trump is that when the translators are translating what Trump said, they actually censor it, right? So when Trump said he's going to grab him by the pussy and they let you do it because you're a star, they translate that so that he's not actually saying that because they're embarrassed to actually say that as the translator. James Wendell says most Trumpers don't watch news like Fox. Well, fundamentally, yes, you do watch Fox News. Otherwise, Fox News wouldn't be on anymore. Secondly, yes, most Trumpers, most MAGA idiots just get all of their news from Facebook memes and bullshit like that. That's why most of you are anti-vax. That's why most of you believe in cabals. That's why most of you believe that liberals are drinking babies' blood. Most of you believe that COVID was a hoax. Most of you believe that the election was rigged. That's why most of you believe all of that shit, because you haven't actually looked into any of it. You didn't look into the fact that Trump actually had 7 slates of fake electors that he essentially hired, to basically come and vote falsely in the last election, to come show up on the House floor and with fake documents that they put together to come and represent a fake votes of the American people. You don't even look up any of that shit. You don't care. Brandon Lightcap says, I'm guessing the cost of aquarium supplies is going to skyrocket with the tariffs on China being that most of it is being made over there. Yes, 100%. When it comes to aquarium goods and all of the goods, as a matter of fact, I saw a report this morning that there are lots of companies that are already preemptively raising prices because they've gotten notification that Trump is in fact going to put in the tariffs, whether anybody likes it or not. Like Sherwin-Williams paint. Sherwin-Williams paint is going up by 5% as of January 6th. James Wendell says the people don't care. Look at the popular vote. I understand that Trump won the popular vote, and for that to be solely your explanation of what's going on is ridiculous. Okay, I've been in countless conversations with Trumper people across the country, and most of you all have been brainwashed into believing that Trump is A, a good businessman, B, he's honest, C, he's a great guy. All of these things and whenever I try to talk to people about the actual facts of things that happen, like just factually on January 6th, right? That was a riot. They did break in. It wasn't a tour into the Capitol. And in fact, all of your stupid right-wing pundits were all saying that it was a fucking riot at the time. If you go back and search their history of what they were posted up. Even go look up Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was the one that claimed it was an insurrection right after it happened, right? But you go listen to Ben Shapiro now, go listen to Jordan Peterson now, And yet they're all claiming that, oh no, it was a tour of the Capitol. Strange how their own narrative changed. It's very odd. Yeah, let's just all relax and see what happens. No, I'm not going to relax and see what happens. I'm not going to relax and see what happens now because I know what's going to happen now. They've already highlighted it in their Project 2025 fucking document. Like, their plan is to eliminate the United States and install a religious fucking a religiously operated fundamentalist government. Like, that's the plan. That is their plan. They wrote it down, right? You know, and all of the shit in there, I'm not in favor of. They've already said, we're going to eliminate the Department of Education. Guess what? You're not going to get any fucking... James Wendell, who do you think the vice president-elect is? Right? Who do you think the vice president-elect is? He wrote the foreword for Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. JD Vance is literally involved with Project 2025. He wrote the foreword. Here we go. Yeah. JD Vance wrote a foreword for... Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't need to ad block. Yeah. JD Vance wrote a foreword for the forthcoming book by the leader of the Heritage Foundation, the group behind 2025. Right? He wrote the foreword for the book of the guy who runs the Heritage Foundation next week. That's coming out next year. You don't hire somebody to write the foreword for your book that you don't know, right? Just a stranger. You just hire just a strange guy to come in. And by the way, even if they didn't know each other before, they certainly do know each other now. James Wendell, you haven't posted any facts other than saying that a certain percentage of voters voted for Trump. Okay. Okay, let's look up Agenda 47, which is Trump's actual plan. I'll take advice from the chat and I'll look up Agenda 47. James Wendell says, and Trump wants no part of 2025. Just look it up. Donald Trump is a liar, okay? Donald Trump is on record lying over 30,000 times when he was president, okay? You think somehow it's like suddenly changed, that he just goes, oh, I don't know. But strangely enough, all the people associated with Project 2025 are involved with Trump. I know you can't post links into chat. That's too bad for you, I guess. Step 1, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. That's his plan. Okay, is there a plan here to click on? No. He doesn't have a plan posted, even though he claimed to have all these wonderful, great plans. This is supposedly a plan. Seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. first off, you're going to have to seal all the airports, the ports, the border. And by the way, this last year, there was legislation, just this year, there was legislation that would have passed to bolster our migration situation, to get funding to the border, to hire judges to process these people, to find out what's going on, right? And yet, Donald Trump called his fucking lackeys within the government, or he probably tweeted at him or truthed at him, or had somebody else call for him, because he's a lazy, fat piece of shit, and told them to not vote for the border bill, right? It was a giant border bill in order to get all of the funding on the border that we needed, because it doesn't matter how many fences you build, okay? If there's no one around to monitor a fence, it's useless. It's completely useless. If you want to see the biggest fence in the world, go to China and look at the Great Wall of China, and you will notice something about it. You will notice something about the Great Wall of China. It's full of housing, and it's full of parapets, right? Hold on. Let me give you let's see, an image of the Great Wall of China. Now, here's the funny thing. I could probably bring up the Great Wall of China, but you probably don't believe it exists, so that's also an issue. Okay, here you go. Here's the issue with putting a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Here's the issue. You would need to create this somehow. You either need to create this with technology, or you just need to create this and house people in it. All of these little sections right here, soldiers lived in these. Soldiers were here. Soldiers were here. Each one that has a roof on it is where the well is. There's a well here where they can get water. These ones, so these right here, these troops that lived in this one could run over to this parapet and shoot arrows onto anybody who was trying to come in, or, you know, drop boiling oil on them, or light the hill on fire. Do whatever they want. They could do whatever they want. Whatever siege engine they were trying to repel, they would do whatever they could to repel the siege engine. Now, this is what you would have to build on the U.S.-Mexico border, essentially. You'd have to build a giant base where soldiers could move around and monitor the border. Or you have to do this with technology, which, by the way, one of the Democrat bills that was proposed was to build a technological line along the border, so that there would be high-speed internet and connectivity along the whole entire border, so that, for instance, seismic activity could be monitored rapidly, and all of the border towns that are down there could also be supplied with internet, so that they could communicate much quicker and easier, even if, you know, phone lines were down, or cell towers were down, or there was wind, you know, a heavy wind. There was a heavy wind coming. That they would be able to communicate, and it would be an additional way to monitor the border. New tech is much better with anti-climb. Oh my God. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself talk? The anti-climb. Like, this is how much I know that you just sit around dreaming about sucking on Trump's dick like a fucking maniac. You actually have brought anti-climb into your lexicon of speaking. When you kind of, the technology is much better on the anti-climb. Oh, really? The anti-climb. Okay. I have a cordless saw that would saw right through any steel wall that you put up. Right? I use these tools on a daily basis. They don't cost that much. They're available around the world because they're produced in China. Right? They're produced where this wall is from. And anybody can just carry them around in the back of their truck and easily go and cut up a wall, no problem. And even this wall, even this gigantic wall made out of stone and concrete and, anti-climb technology. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe they didn't have the anti-climb technology that we do now. Anyhow, even this gigantic wall built out of rock and stone, it needed monitoring. You know why? Because you could come up here and just knock this thing down and go right on through. Which is what they found with the tiny bit of stupid wall that Trump managed to get done. Which, by the way, was approved by Congress in order to get it done, but they needed to do an environmental impact, right? And they didn't have the designs done, they didn't have the drawings done, and they didn't have the plans done. I believe Congress released like, what was it, $6 billion or something to build that wall. And the problem is that they didn't actually have the design or anybody involved to get the design done. And so it basically never got built because they were scammed by Trump by saying that he actually had a plan, which isn't a plan. Just writing down that you have a plan isn't a plan. It's ridiculous. No, look up the stats where we have Trump's wall. Wait, Biden stopped it? So wait, Biden stopped it while Trump was president? So when Trump was president last time, somehow Biden stopped it? So Biden stepped in when he wasn't even president. He wasn't even in office or anything like that. He somehow stopped Trump's wall when he wasn't even president or some shit? Okay. D-Rock says, I'm so bummed the lady that just got elected as our school district rep is a Proud Boy supporter and a MAGA kook. She also goes around promoting satanic panic. Yep, we've returned. We've regressed into the early 80s. Yeah. Takes time to build. It takes time. Oh, it takes time. Oh, okay. Mostly steel. Mostly steel or steel? You've spelled steel as in theft. Do you mean steel as in the metal? Is that what you're speaking of? It takes time to build. Okay, I'm a builder myself, so yes, I understand it takes time to build. Right? We were almost done. Biden stopped it. Okay. I think you're having a stroke, my guy. I think you're having a stroke. I don't know. I mean, I honestly, if I was you, I would seek medical attention immediately. I would want to get looked over by a physician, I would want to get a physician's eyes on me if I were you right now, as soon as possible. James Wendell says, it will kill American workers. Read the bill. Okay, what bill? I don't even know. If you can't name a bill that you want me to read, then I can't read it. Yeah, if Trump wanted nothing to do with Project 2025, he would not surround himself with Project 2025 people. That's the point, right? Oh, the robot says memberships, super stickers, super chats. Oh my, they are fun and they help support the channel. Oh, he meant the immigration bill, the border bill. Are you just saying the border bill? What border bill? What border bill are you speaking of? Which bill? Which bill are you talking about? Zatuichi says JD Vance once took a dump from a moving car. Now, that is possible, and I don't think that's necessarily disqualifying for you to be the vice president in its own, right? Like, if we're just talking about just the one thing of, like, taking a shit out of a moving car, I don't think that should necessarily disqualify you for being vice president necessarily, right? Like, and it's just in its own right. Like, you went to college, you got a degree, you've been elected to office a whole bunch of times and all that stuff, and then somebody comes out and says, well, I took a shit out of a moving car. I don't think that's solely disqualifying. Yeah, let's go back to the let's go back to this supposed plan. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. This is directly point 2 in Agenda 47, right? Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history, which I think is ridiculous. Ethan's asking, do you think a good chunk of aquarium hobbyists lean right? Yes, because they're religious affiliation. And I know this for a fact. From polling people and discussions with people that have claimed that they want to kill me, people that say have threatened me with violence, just not death violence, just regular violence in the name of their God, I guess, would be the easy way to explain it, because of their religious affiliation. And one of the things with the aquarium hobby is that it's a very isolating hobby, right? If I'm sitting here working on my aquarium, I'm kind of by myself all the time. Right? And while I'm working on this hobby, right? And most aquarists, aquarium keepers, most homesteaders, most people doing like a lot of this isolating type of stuff where you don't have a lot of communication and you don't spend a lot of time talking to people and you're kind of by yourself a lot. The sort of how you spend your community time is sort of going to be paramount to how the rest of your week is going to sort of be reflected in your energies, as it were, right? So I'm going to formulate a picture for you here. Like, let's say that I spend a majority of my week working by myself, spending time with myself, and the only time that I have interactions with other people is when let's say I go to a biker bar down the street, right? I go down to the biker bar. Down the street where everybody uses drugs, everybody cheats on their wife, everybody is committing crimes, everybody's doing dangerous things all the time. Eventually, when through that work process of going to work all the time and the little bit of community time that you spend, eventually that becomes your personality. And it's the same thing for people that spend their little bit of community time, like on Sunday, going to a church where people are brainwashed into thinking that anybody who has a different idea than you is evil. Anybody that like doesn't believe in your God is going to spend the eternity of all time burning in hell, right? You know, there's a lot of stuff I could go into if you guys really want, right? When that's the little bit of community contact that you have, you realistically start to believe that everybody else is bad, everybody else is evil, and anybody outside of your in-group is terrible and horrible, right? So ultimately what that does is that justifies your thought process down the line that, well, obviously I'm correct because my group lets me be in there, right? And they don't realize that they've been indoctrinated into a hate group of people that are convinced that there's an all-powerful, omniscient, omnipresent being that realistically is spending a good portion of its time punishing people. And I heard a good example of that, and I'm gonna paraphrase it for you. I heard the argument that if I go to my wife and I say, if you don't love me, then I'm going to burn you alive, right? If you don't love me, I'm going to burn you alive. Did I ever love her? And the answer to that was, well, no, you never loved her if that's what you were going to do. And you go, okay, so God never loved you then, right? And then of course their answer is no, okay, hold on, let me backpedal here for a minute. God gave us free will, and then if you choose to do bad, then you did right. And you go, okay, like you're the basis of your fundamental beliefs are just so catastrophically flawed that you're realistically going to accept anything that these people tell you by the time you reach a mature age, right? Like this guy in chat said, like, you don't research anything. Okay. Sure. Like, I don't read books. I don't watch not only fucking OAN and Fox News. I also watch CNN. I watch MSNBC. I watch independent reporting. I watch all sorts of stuff. And I also actually read reports from the government as to what is going on, right? The problem is that, like, ultimately the sources at which the source information that they're getting from people is fundamentally flawed. Like, if you listen to Tim Pool, for instance, or if you listen to let's just stick with Tim Pool or any of the other tenant media people, right? They're sitting there sucking up Russia talking point money, buckets of it, and then walking out and giving you the talking points that they want you to hear. And the strange thing is that you hear the exact same ones on the exact same day. It suddenly shift, and then here's the talking points, which ultimately I would say, has to do with there likely is an email system or probably a WhatsApp system or a Discord or something like that, that they basically get, here's what we want you to talk about today. Here's what we want you to talk about today. Here's what we think is going to be an important thing to do. And realistically, when you're somebody like Tim Pool and you get the topic that you're supposed to talk about, you just go and talk about it, and somebody else edits it and does all the work and puts it up and posts it up online for you. It's basically zero work. And for a guy like that to be making $5 million a year for doing fucking nothing but repeating a bunch of shit that was told to him to say is disgusting. But it's just a never-ending slew of that happening, right? Donald Trump went on Theo Vaughn. It was the stupidest conversation I've heard in the longest time. Donald Trump went on Logan Paul, right? One of the dumbest conversations I've ever heard. He also went on Joe Rogan, one of the dumbest conversations I've ever heard, over and over again. And for instance, when Joe Rogan just kept asking him over and over and over again, what was the first day like, and the fact that, what was the first day of being a president like? And Trump just kept talking about the inside of the White House. He literally was talking about Abraham Lincoln's bedroom and how tall the ceilings were and how wide the walkways were and stuff. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And he kept asking him over and over again. And Joe Rogan's not even that bright. By his own admission, he constantly says he's not a bright person, right? Grover said there was the typical Trump voters and the anti-incumbency vote that impacted most post-COVID governments globally. Honestly, I think any Republican candidate would have probably won. I think that's honestly the case. Now, if you had said to me, like, oh, Mitt Romney and I don't know, Mitt Romney and name somebody else had run for president, they had gotten the nomination and they ran, and it came down to that, I would say, yeah, you're probably right. I would say, yeah, you're probably right. But I honestly see the level of supposed victimhood from the right-wingers in this country. I see the supposed victimhood from, and I'm going to say white dudes, but young dudes alike who don't have any positive relationships in their lives. They don't have a female relationship in their life, right? Just angry young men, right? And you can never really underestimate the rage of a young man, and just the level of cut my nose off to spite my face, 22-year-old energy, right? And I think that's a lot of what swayed this whole election is this rage-filled group of Americans, right? Like, housing is expensive. I'll be the first person to tell you that. Getting a house, buying a house, getting into a house, paying for a house, it's incredibly expensive. Prices on things have 100% gone up. They went up, right? And through extensive research, we know where most of the price hikes came from. Most of the price hikes came from COVID because the global supply chain was fucked, okay? And anybody to call it anything other than that is probably lying to you. If you don't remember when there was no toilet paper. You remember when there was no toilet paper? That's because the supply chain was so catastrophically fucked that we didn't have any toilet paper to sell to anybody, right? The entire global operation of shipping supplies and shipping things around was completely fucked up to the point where, and I wonder if I can find an image of this. During COVID, of shipping containers. Yeah. Here we go. Port congestion and shortage of containers. Canals aren't the only reason for the supply chain disruptions. COVID-19 had directly impacted ports when a COVID-19 outbreak at one of the biggest and busiest ports in southern China led to shipping delays. At Yantian, I think that's right. I don't know how to say that. A container port in the Chinese city of Shenzhen, an outbreak amongst dock workers brought traffic to a virtual standstill. This has created a strain on the international shipping industry that was already struggling with a shortage of empty containers. Some ships had to wait up to 2 weeks to take on cargo at Yantian. I don't know how to say that. As approximately 160,000 containers are waiting to be loaded. Right? So one of the things that I tried to explain to people is like, yes, they ramped up production, but one of the big problems is they didn't have shipping containers to put them in. They didn't have shipping containers to put anything in because they shipped everything out. Things got stuck, and they had to ship the shipping containers back. Whereas a lot of the shipping containers that got sent to certain places, and like one of the examples that was given that is not in this article, it's in a different article I read, was talking about the UAE, right? The UAE doesn't really export things all that much, so there really isn't a lot of stuff that's going to go into shipping containers. And when those ships went and dropped off shipping containers for COVID supplies, right? They didn't pick up empty shipping containers, but they said, well, fuck it, we got to go. And so they went to their next port to pick up whatever they could pick up. But places like the UAE, not only the UAE, obviously, but places like that didn't have a big export industry on their hands, had all these shipping containers just sitting there, and then no one could afford to just go get them, right? Because first off, it's going to take weeks or months to go over there, get the shipping containers and come back. The corporate entities that were involved said, well, it would actually be cheaper if we just start manufacturing more shipping containers. Well, I don't know if you guys know about this, but manufacturing shipping containers actually takes time. You don't just snap your fingers and suddenly have an extra, 600,000 shipping containers ready. It takes a shitload of time to weld them together, put the floor in, put all the hardware on it, paint it, put the labeling on the side of it. All that stuff obviously takes time. So instead of picking up the old shipping containers, then we were just waiting for them to make more shipping containers and then get the shipping containers to where the products are, put the shit in it, then come across the ocean. Then wait at our ports because our ports were backed up because we had people fucking out sick, right? Funny we the ones splitting America up. B we are. Okay, hold on. Funny we the ones splitting America up. B we are the ones always called named. I don't know what the fuck you're trying to say there, but what I'm going to infer what you're trying to say is that people are calling you names. Oh, really? You just elected a guy who's been fucking standing around calling people names for the last 10 years straight. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Baby bitch boy that you are, shut the fuck up. Sleepy James Wendell. Oh, stupid James Wendell. Oh. Right? You just elected a guy who's been calling people names for the last 10 fucking years, running for president and being president. Get fucked. Stay fucked. I fucking cry. Calling me names. But you sit around and vote for the rapist who's been calling people names for the last 10 years. The hypocrisy there is so thick. You could put it on a piece of toast and eat it for fucking breakfast. Go fuck yourself. Anyhow, when the supply chain was that backed up, right? Everything got just completely fucked. And one of the big reasons that it got fucked was a bunch of stuff that wasn't obvious to the average person, right? You just go to the store and go like, why the fuck aren't there bolts and screws here? This is crazy. Because there have always been bolts and screws there in the past, right? And realistically, what is essentially going to happen with that is going to happen tenfold once these tariffs go in, because Trump already put tariffs on all of that stuff. Trump already put tariffs in place on China. And what MAGA people don't understand is that American companies pay the tariff, right? A tariff is an import tax. It is not it is not an export tax. Okay? A tariff is an import tax. The people that pay for the tariffs are the American companies who will immediately turn around and jack up the price so that you have to pay for it. Right? You're the one that will end up having to pay for it. He already put tariffs in previously. He put tariffs in against China. He put tariffs in against Mexico. He put tariffs in against Canada. If you remember the import tax that he put on Canadian wood, I don't know if you remember this. Uh-oh, one of our moderators deleted James's crying. Okay. No worries. The moderators have spoken. I guess they're tired of hearing me yell at one individual person. Green room. Here we go. I'm going to open up the green room. So if you are a patron, you can come in and speak to me with your mouth hole if you like. Okay, there we go. Green room is open. We're an hour in, so it's good. It's a good time to open up the green room. If you guys remember this, the prolonged softwood lumber dispute points to what Trump's tariffs may mean for Canada. And this is what happened in the U.S. Trump didn't unilaterally tariff the softwood. He picked companies that he liked and disliked and put a percentage of a tariff on them, right? And what ended up happening during COVID was basically the Canadian companies were still producing. They would put all their wood onto a train car, onto a train. You understand what a train is? They put it all onto a train. They'd send it down to the border. We'd have the company to release it. The company would have to pay the tariff. Then they would get their imported good. Then they would take it to the store. And let's use Menards as an example. So Menards would bring it to it would come to the Menards. The Menards would go, oh, this is how much the price was. This is how much we paid. This is how much we're going to mark it up. So one day a sheet of plywood, OSB, was like $9. Well, the next day it was, $10.50. Okay. Well, I guess we could deal with that. There's a pandemic going on. There's a thing happening. So then you buy some at $10.50, and Menards is selling them for $10.50. We do live in the 21st century, so the company that produces and sells that wood is able to look online and go, wow, these guys just ordered a whole bunch more wood from us, and they're now selling it for $10.50 a sheet. Well, I guess we're going to price it at $10.50 a sheet because obviously it's still selling. So they raise their price. It comes down to the border. The company that's importing it pays the tariff to the U.S. government. Then they bring it in and they go, oh, it's this much. We're going to take it down to Menards. Then Menards goes, how much are we paying for it now? Oh, now a sheet of OSB is $12.85, right? And that cycle just kept happening until OSB was $90 a fucking sheet. Do you understand how insane that was? And I can say that because at the time I was doing a job where I was going to put regular old OSB sheeting down as my subfloor, like I normally do, before I put the flooring over top of it. And OSB sheeting was $92 a fucking sheet. And I was like, I am not going to pay that price. So I went online to their website and I bought the exact same sheeting that was... Hold on. I'm gonna show you something. This plywood I have right here. This plywood, 3/4 inch cabinet plywood. It's pre-finished on one side. I don't remember if this is birch or oak. It might be. Hold on. The lighting in here is weird. Turns out that's birch. So at the time, those sheets were pretty expensive. You understand? Pretty expensive. Turns out they were $52 a sheet at the time. And it happened to be the cheapest thing that we could use as the subfloor on a job. So we bought $52 a sheet fucking subfloor and we put the floor in, right? Yeah. And that is going to happen again because we live in the 21st century, right? We live in the 21st century. This information is passing from the buyer to the seller to the buyer, back and forth. They can't keep it a secret. It's not like you can just go, oh, we didn't sell any. And you go like, well, why are you ordering more if you didn't sell it? And they can actually just look online and go like, oh, okay, we can just information gather very easily because this is 21st century. They can just look it up. And that's just going to continue to happen with all of the products that you currently use generally. Yeah. Aubrey says, aren't tariffs the reason we can't get that $10,000 Toyota truck here in the U.S.? Actually, I looked into this personally because I want that $10,000 truck. I think Aubrey and I have even texted back and forth about this on Discord, right? If you become a member, you get access to our Discord and you get access to, you want to chat to me about whatever. That's the great place to do it because I'll be around all week. You can tag me in a post and I'll get to it. If you leave YouTube comments, I'm probably not even gonna have time to get back to them, to be honest with you. Because let's see, last week, where's our comments from last week? Actually, I did see a comment from Mark, who shout out to Mark. What's up, buddy? He said that the Arizona Cardinals are 6-4, and who would have thought? I will gonna be honest with you, Mark. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have lost $100 if I'd wagered on that at the beginning of the year. I assumed that the Seahawks would be 6-4 or 7-3, and they are not. They are 4-5. They look like shit, and the Arizona Cardinals have somehow pulled it together and are doing a great job. Derek Palmer says, "Go Bills!" Fucking A. The New York Buffalo Bills are a fantastic squad. I will say that, having watched them play numerous games this year, but one of them against the Seahawks. Yeah, the Bills are great, and I would say Out of AFC teams, I would say, well, probably the Buffalo Bills are probably my favorite, I would say. Upstate New York, it's like, it's quirky. It's they in the 90s they made 4 runs to the Super Bowl, and failed at all of them. So, I mean, you got to make up for that sometime. Like someday you got to win. You got to win. You got to win to. You have a specter over you, okay? You have a ghost, a bad luck ghost over the Buffalo Bills, and they got to win one sometime and get rid of that, whatever you want to call that. What do we have here? Oh yeah, a lot of comments get filtered out because people have a lot of negative things to say. Oh no. But yeah, the easiest way to get a hold of me is Discord. If you become a member, I will be able to holler back at you at some point. Oh no, we lost 50 subscribers last week. Who fuck cares? A bunch of Trumpers that can't even fucking wrap their mind around basic facts. Uh-oh. Those are the same people that ask me the question like, what should I put in my 20-gallon aquarium? Bitch, I don't know. I ain't you. What the fuck, man? What are you interested in? You're the one that would know that, not me. It's like when you go to a restaurant and ask the waitress, like, hey, what do you recommend? You know, what do you recommend I get from this restaurant? And what they want to tell you is like, I don't know. I don't know what you like, you know? Because realistically, like, had you gone to a restaurant and asked the chef what to get, or like, what do you eat off the menu here? And it's like scraps, leftovers, things that were misfired, you know, some bullshit that was supposed to be sauce on the side, and they didn't get sauce on the side, so it's been sitting over there. And like 3 hours later, we take a bite out of it, you know. Yeah, so like, you know, what are you doing? Why are you asking me what to put in an aquarium? I put this shit in an aquarium. Do you like it? Okay, then do that.
Water.
Put wetness, moisture, cockroaches. I would say put cockroaches in there. The big ass Madagascar cockroaches that we have are the best pet that we have. They're entertaining for days and easy to feed. They don't reproduce because it's not hot enough in there for them to reproduce. And they're super chill, you know? They have yet to take a shit on my carpet. And I will say, the new puppy had taken a shit on the carpet and pissed on the carpet. And this morning, as a matter of fact, had an accident on the carpet because she was so excited with puppy freak outage. I'm washing the carpet as we speak. It's in the washing machine. And yes, we have carpets that can go in the washing machine. Aubrey says sugar water. Oh, sugar water is a good point. You could just do a Kool-Aid. You could just do a Kool-Aid aquarium and just sip out of it with a straw. We have a caller here. Witchy Cat is on the line.
Yo, yo.
Hello. Oh, my God. I've got you turned up again. Okay, I have to remember how to do this right. There we go. How's that?
I don't know. How is that?
Well, I think I had you turned up for the last time I was gaming. I was gaming with my alliance. A bunch of boys were fighting a war game together, and I think I had to turn it up because some people don't have their volume turned up on their Discord account for some reason. So, what's up with you?
Plus, it's you know.
Is it fucking snowing up there yet?
Nope. Don't even say that word. Nope.
Are you coated in snow? Are you wet and cold and frozen?
Yes, yes, no.
Wet and cold. All right, got it.
Wet and cold. So.
You better stoke the fire up there.
I just lit it, as a matter of fact.
Oh, there you go.
It's more damp than anything. It's like 45 today.
It is 45 and moist. I was outside earlier working on said greenhouse that I mentioned. Which I will wholeheartedly admit to every human that is watching this live stream. It didn't start out as a greenhouse. That wasn't the plan, but it is. I've decided that's the best spot for the greenhouse, so fuck it. I'm putting one there. It's happening.
All right. Evolution works.
Yeah, I didn't want to trim the tree to make it work as a greenhouse because it has a good
Right.
it has a southern exposure where I have a fence, but where the roof would be, it would be a great amount of southern exposure. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I didn't want to have to cut back the tree, but in hindsight's the wrong word there. Foreskin. I don't know. Having looked at it in person, here we go. That's how we're going to say it. Having looked at it in person, I'm realizing I just need to cut the tree. So we're going to trim the tree, and it'll be fine. And everybody will like it. Although I won't like the tree trimming aspect of it. Because it's going to be trips to the... Well, I have to go to the dump because that's where the yard waste goes. With, like, tree limbs and shit. I have to go to the dump to do it.
No chipper around to get rid of them that way.
I'd have to like borrow one or get somebody over here. When
Yeah.
I could just back my trailer up back there and just cut the tree limbs onto it and then drive them.
Much easier.
Yeah, because they have a big grinder at the dump near me where they throw them in.
Well, that's fun, especially if you get to do it. A little cathartic.
No, they don't let
Well,
you.
just-
You could fall in there and die. So they don't let the peons do it. They don't let us do that. They just say throw it down here.
Again, it'd be fun, but okay.
Yeah. It's they have a big like a front end loader with the grapple on the front of it, and it just scoops it into the wall and then grabs a big bunch, and then they drive it and throw it into the thing and grinds it up into the back of a truck that I don't know where the truck's going, but who the fuck cares? They're figuring it out. It's part of the county project. If I take it to my local dump, they just push it into a big hole. So
Right.
I don't trust that. It's run by natives, and they get to do whatever they want. So I really only take certain dump stuff over there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but native reservations are their own country. They're not even really America.
I had heard that about them, yes.
So they sort of just get to do their own thing. And that dump is it's pretty fun, I will say. It's exciting. It's a thrill, I will tell you. It is a thrill. And especially if you go there with the trailer, because there's a guy there that operates an excavator that if you have a trailer, he'll grab everything out of the trailer with the excavator. And it's pretty funny how he does it. He has a claw on there and then claws things out, throws it into the dump. And then he saves old mattresses, right? He saves old mattresses to wipe out your trailer with the mattress.
Ah,
He tacos
that's
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah, he tacos the mattress and then uses like the, it's like bent over long ways on itself, and then he uses the two squared up end like that together and like wipes out your trailer with it. It's fucking hilarious.
That's pretty awesome.
And I will say to you, he is one of the more exciting and colorful characters that I run into whenever I see that guy. And one point in time, I was talking with him, and I think he probably had at least 30% of a breakfast burrito in his beard.
Gotta
The whole
save
time.
a little for later.
The whole time we were talking. And I just was like, I don't really want to tell him that he has eggs and cheese in his beard because I don't know where this conversation is going to go. You know?
Yeah.
There's that kind of vibe, which you're just like, fuck it. I guess this guy's just got cheese and eggs in his beard, and that's how he goes with it. So, I guess it's good. Pointing it out seems like a weird thing. Derek Palmer Creative says upstate New York Finger Lakes region is lovely. I will agree 100%. I would not be opposed to living up there. That's one of the few places I think in the U.S. that I visited and been like, hey man, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I get why you fuckers live here. You know.
Right.
Oklahoma is not one of those places. That's on the other side of the scale.
Yes.
The Vikings started out great, but sadly are just hanging on by a thread lately. That doesn't matter. A win's a win. You know, a win's a win. Honestly, Grover. If the Vikings are getting wins, that means they're headed on a trajectory towards the playoffs. And when you have momentum going into the playoffs, whether you win by 1 point or 3 points or 6 points or 48 points, it doesn't matter. You still win. And as long as you're winning, like, just live in the happy moment. I would say I would just live in that, live in the happy success, and hope the wave keeps rolling. You know what I mean? Anne Graham says, Happy Veterans Day, a day to honor our fallen soldiers. They fought against tyranny, fascism, and hate, and they warned us lest we forget. Yeah, I will say 100%. All of the veterans in my family, including both of my grandfathers, both of my great-grandfathers, my great-great-grandfather, the man who came to this country, my great-great-great-grandfather, who came to this country to fight for the North in the Civil War. He literally emigrated to the United States from Denmark to fight in the war because he was a soldier in Denmark, and he had a hope that there would be a land, a country available for somebody like him to come to and contribute to, and apparently had seen, you know, what is it, a newspaper clipping? I bet it was just some person told him, like, you could go to the New World. He got on a boat. He landed on Ellis Island. Nobody fucking asked him any questions. They just let him on in. Right? He signed his name and then walked into the country. That was it. They just said, hey, could you write your name down? And in fact, they didn't even have them write their own name down. Some other person wrote their name down who often didn't speak any of the language that they spoke. So my last name had been amended from the Danish spelling to an English spelling. And then they said, well, see you later. And so he went and signed up to fight for the North. To fight for the North in the Civil War. That's why he came here. And it's kind of wild to think that that's the man that started my family. My grandpa fought in both of my grandpas fought in World War II. Actually, both of my great-great-grandpas, however you want to look at it, the family starts to, you know, it gets wider and wider up at the top because I'm not inbred, like a lot of people that vote for Trump. And as you go back, it's all just soldiers and whatnot. My dad fought in the Vietnam War, and watched many young people die for what he doesn't even know to this day. 50 years later, however many years later it is. Is it more than that? It might be more than that.
More than that, yeah.
44 plus 10 is 54. So, yeah,
not much more.
50 plus years ago. You know, and I can say that none of them fought for the side of tyranny, fascism, or hate. I do have some criticisms of my grandfather and how and what he went about with certain things that he did in his life and certain things that he advocated for. But he was a very nice man who was deeply traumatized by the amount of death that he contributed to humanity. He flew 86 missions over the Pacific Theater as a bombardier captain, and there's absolutely zero question that my grandfather was one of those people that enacted a lot of death from above, right? If you guys want to know some of the history of my dad was on the USS Enterprise when it exploded, and amongst other things that my dad was involved in, he did multiple tours in Vietnam. He was I don't know if you want to call him decorated, but he has awards that he doesn't really care about because he is a veteran. He does care about this country, but he fought a war in which he came home, from, and people threw garbage on them. And in fact, he was over there potentially, as what they were told, was they were over there to fight for democracy, which, hindsight being 2020, it's not exactly the reason that we were there. So I grew up with veterans. I grew up in a military household. I grew up with a pretty extensive behind-the-curtain view of the U.S. military. Also, all of my cousins served in different facilities. One was a Marine, multiple in the Navy, whatnot, and my uncles and everybody. But I can tell you from a personal standpoint, I didn't sign up for the U.S. military when I was young because I didn't. I actually listened to what my family told me, and my family told me that essentially this is what the U.S. military will produce, right? Men that were shattered by the reality of war. They went over to fight for something that they thought was important, and whereas my grandfather was less disregarded than, even just my father, I saw the kind of men that they came back as, right? And that was my experience growing up. And when I talked to them about it, my dad said, in a really, really weird way at one point, was like, it's not worth it. Now, realistically, we have had conversations since then that he sees the world a little bit differently now, and that in that he feels like he should have just stayed in for the 20 years so that he could have at least gotten a retirement, and instead of getting 10% off at Denny's, for the the Grand Slam breakfast. My dad doesn't tell people that he's a veteran. He doesn't wear around a fucking veteran hat to let everybody know about it. He served his time. He did what he was supposed to do. He did what he was told to do. He served well. But it's not something that he is like constantly reminding people about. So I didn't sign up until I was 30. And at the time I would have needed a college degree in order to get in at my age, which wholeheartedly I still was arguing. I wholeheartedly am still like arguing with like, what the fuck is that? Like, there's no reason that somebody that's 30 shouldn't be able to easily just get in to the U.S. military. If you serve from 30 to 50, you'd be fine. But I would have needed a degree in order to get in at that time. Now, admittedly, things may have changed since then because you might be 30 years old and they're like, we'll take you because the recruiting numbers have gone down. And I would say one of the big reasons for the recruiting numbers to have gone down is 4% of our population that has served in the military may or may not be essentially like showing the population their trauma and how their trauma has never been addressed, right? I think, yeah. Big scandal here in Europe and Brit Soccer Today. Video of a referee exposing himself as a longtime hater of a German trainer he reffed, calling him plus all Germans the C word. His game's now being audited. The C word? What do you call them? Cunts? I don't know. Is that a problem? Is that a big scandal?
I wouldn't
don't
have
know.
thought so in Europe.
I wouldn't. That doesn't sound scandalous to me. So they, like, one of the referees called the Germans a bunch of cunts. I guess. I don't know. I guess that's a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, one of the referees patted Patrick Mahomes on the back this last weekend, and people are claiming that that referee obviously was showing favoritism to Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe some of the NFL refs have favoritism to certain teams or certain players or whatever, but you can't play the refs, man. You got to play the game. If you run your ass off and score a whole bunch, you're just gonna win, right? So,
right.
As far as auditing old soccer matches, like, who gives a fuck? Like, just move on. If it turns out that ref sucks, just fire him and get a new ref. I don't know, it seems pretty basic to me. Scog Shrimp and Stuff says JD Vance fucks couches. Allegedly fucks couches. Allegedly. Or allegedly has fucked a couch. I mean, he may be up to it now. Who knows? Derek Palmer Creative says, my facts are right. LOL. That's right. That's right. My facts. I mean, literally from the administration that put Kellyanne Conway out there talking about we have alternative facts. Right? Like, I don't know how you've fallen for the grift. I don't know how so many Americans have fallen for the grift. I don't know how, but I can also say, like, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that there's a bunch of angry Americans that think, all right, well, fuck it. Things aren't going well, so I'm going to vote for this other guy, right? It's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult when you're in the middle of something to make an honest assessment as to, like, how well things are going, especially when it comes to finances, especially when it comes down to relationships, especially when it comes down to weight loss or weight gain, right? When you're in the middle of it, you have no fucking idea what the fuck is going on, right? And the people that voted for Donald Trump feel a certain way. That's it. From the group that tells you facts don't care about your feelings, from the people that have been screeching about they're going to turn all the frogs gay, they're going to turn all of the kids trans, they're going to turn what else? Let's see.
To drag queens, take your guns away.
Oh yeah, they're going to take your guns away. They're going to do all this stuff. From the group of people that are shrieking and screaming. And by the way, for people that are complaining about inflation so much, they're spending half of their fucking paycheck on Chinese-made Trump flags, hats, shirts. As a matter of fact, I saw a bunch of them wearing fucking gold diapers, spray painted Depends to Trump rallies. They're spending all their time going to Trump rallies. They're doing all this shit, driving around, and yet then complaining about inflation. And it's like, what are you doing to stem the inflation in your own household, right? What are you doing to, like, buckle down and deal with the fact that corporations took advantage of the COVID, the collapse of the international shipping markets and stuff like that, in order to maintain the same prices that they did, that they raised the prices during COVID, and then they just maintained those prices. And it's the same reason why the tariffs are so fundamentally stupid, is that once the tariffs are put into place, it is extremely difficult to get rid of them. It's very easy to level a tariff on something, right? You just say, hey, I'm going to put a tariff on Chinese steel. So then the Chinese turn around and say, hey, we're going to put a giant tariff on soybeans, right? Which is actually what happened. And once those tariffs are in place, if you take away your steel tariff, the other country isn't beholden to taking away the soybean tariff, right?
Right.
So once they're already in place, it's extremely difficult to remove them, and it takes a ton of negotiation to get rid of them, right? You have to get them to agree. You have to get you to agree. You have to get everybody to agree to go ahead and get rid of the tariffs once they're already in place. In fact, somebody had posted an example of there's like a tariff on German cars or something that's still in place.
From like the mid 70s or something.
It's from like the 50s.
Oh, the 50s even better.
On German cars. Oh yeah, and Aubrey was asking earlier, like the reason about the $10,000 Toyota truck that you can't get in, is it has more to do with that truck doesn't meet the safety standards in American roadways, right? The American roadways are a lot more dangerous than a lot of the markets where those trucks are being sold. I guess I'll put it that way. And they haven't gone through any of the safety rigmarole, right? So the first thing that they have to do is crash like 10,000 of them in order to see how they get destroyed when they crash, and then if they meet the regulation or not. Whether any of this stuff is important to you or any of this stuff is important to the fucking MAGA people or anybody, it just is what it is. This is the rules and regulations we have in place that have been developed over time in order for the safety of people when the car crash does happen. It's not that, oh, I'll just avoid car crashes. It's not if, it's when. Like, that's just how dangerous driving is. Like, eventually you'll get into a crash, and instead of having a broken neck, maybe your back hurts a little bit for a week and you take some ibuprofen, right? There's a big difference between the two things. And if you're wondering why any of that stuff would be done, just look at the percentage of car crashes over the last 60 years. How many deaths, how many catastrophic injuries as a percentage over the last 60 years, and you will be astounded by how many people used to just die in car crashes as a percentage, right? I think there are less car crash deaths now, and there's 3 times as many drivers now as in like 1970, right? So let's say there was 80 million drivers in 1970. There was like more death fatalities from driving than the 240 million people driving now, just as a raw number, right? Which is fucking wild, right? So that's the reason that that's there. Then once those safety add-ons start getting added onto the truck, the price goes up, the price goes up, the price goes up. There's a bunch of features that are required in an American market, right? So like instead of putting the super crappy safety belt that they may or may not have, which meets the requirement in just random country name insert here, we have to have a specific safety belt that costs more money to manufacture, right? So all of these things that slowly get added to the vehicle in order to make it qualified. Airbags, all sorts of stuff. Make it qualified for the U.S. market. Then all of a sudden that truck costs $20,000. Then there's an import tax, which will put it to like $25,000. Then it goes to the dealership and gets marked up to $40,000, and that's where we are, right? So, like, would I like a small pickup truck for $40,000? No, because like I have a big pickup truck that I bought for $35,000 that can tow trailers and shit. So I don't want a small pickup truck for $40,000. I would like a small pickup truck for $10,000, and I think that easily could be done in the United States. I think that Ford could easily do that. I think that whatever other car company off the top of my head, Chevy, whoever. Let's see. I don't even know if there is a okay, never mind.
Okay.
Guys, we're gonna have to backpedal here a little bit because both GM and Toyota are developing a $10,000 truck for the American market. So GM is developing a $10,000 pickup truck that will be available in 2025. The truck is designed to be affordable and reliable, and GM says it will set new standards for the industry. So that might be the case, like that GM might have a version of a $10,000 pickup. I mean, you basically need a reasonable chassis, reasonable running gear, a cab, and a bed. That's, I mean, it would be great because then you just throw shit in the back. You could do basic work with it. Maybe you don't need to haul trailers or anything like I do. It would be great. So, yeah, I mean, I could see. Here's the deal, like that. I think Ford, GM, whoever, Chevy, I don't know, whatever American company. I don't know, Toyota. Who gives a fuck? Like, just make one that is a base model that can pass the test in the U.S. Because the problem is that like importing the one that they've made for the other markets, it just doesn't meet those standards, right? And so like they just have to make one that meets the standards. And guess what? You'll sell a shitload of them. The big problem is like, can they manufacture enough of them for them to make money by the end of it? Because the unfortunate thing is that they might come out with a $10,000 truck, but by the time you get it out of the dealership, it's still $25,000, right? So unless they can actually do it and do it at scale and get it done, that's going to be the biggest problem. And I don't know if they'll ever be able to get over that hurdle, right? I'm so worried about RFK considering what we just went through with how COVID was handled. I am also worried because their plan is to get rid of the NIH, to get rid of the CDC, to get rid of the FDA, to get rid of the USDA. They're going to eliminate all of these branches of government that are the only protections that you and I have. And the reason I say that, those are the only protections that we, the consumers, have right now. Those are the only protections we have. The government agencies that, by the way, don't make money or lose money or anything like that when they find something wrong with the product or something that you're consuming, right? The only consumer protections that we have are those. And for any fucking dipshit libertarian to go like, let the free market decide. When the free market decides, you get poisoned to death. That's how that works. That is as simple as I can put it. When you let the free market decide, corporations will poison you to death. They will, because it's the cheaper way to go. And they will always choose the cheaper way to go because that's how corporations are designed. That's how corporations operate. That is how they will always operate until they're fundamentally changed, unless they're motivated to make that fundamental change. They're not going to do it on their own, and they're not just going to do it just because it's fun, right?
Yep. It's all about let them go.
Vibe. Is it Vibui or Vibui? I don't know. I'm not sure. What are you doing now since you don't work for the co-op? I'm happy to say that I have a lot of gratitude that I don't work at the co-op anymore. It's an extraordinarily toxic company that is taking advantage of all of its customers in ways that I will not let on to, but I don't work there anymore, and I'm all the more happy for it. I can say this, that the culture and the environment of that company is very toxic, very disgusting, and not at all. It's not at all the same company on the inside that it is represented to you on the outside. When you watch it on, YouTube, Corey presents himself like he is the character from The King of the Hill, and he is not that guy at all behind the scenes.
Yes, but what are you doing now? I think was the question.
I'm not working there anymore. That's what I'm doing now.
Okay, good answer.
I'm back to doing contracting. I actually have two companies now. One of them is for the YouTube content and for film and taking photos. And I'll come to your. I don't know if I want to come to your wedding. I'll be honest with you. I don't really like doing weddings anymore. Mainly because brides are just so fucking high maintenance that it's a ridiculous workflow. You go like, hey, I'm going to charge $2,500. So then the bride wants pictures the night of the wedding. You know, when they're supposed to be out, like, I mean, I guess if they're Christians or whatever, they're supposed to be having sex for the first time, which is not indicative of any human in the 21st century. They're supposed to be like, you know, copulating because God says that they're supposed to or whatever. I don't know. Your religions are weird, and they're written by a guy who lived in a barn 1,000 years ago. They're supposed to be doing that, but they will be texting you, Instagram messaging you, emailing you. You get an onslaught of, I need the pictures
Where's
right
that
now.
tweet?
I need the pictures right now. I need to get them on social media immediately. They can't wait a week. It can't wait a day. It needs to be the fucking night of. You need to have them edited and ready for them to post to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, you know, Twitter. They got a Twitter X. I guess they got a truth about them. I don't know. And I don't want to do weddings anymore. Fuck weddings. Unless I'm hired by another company to just be the backup cameraman, I'll do that. But if people want me to come take pictures of their kids' sports or whatever, I'm happy to come do that kind of stuff. I'm not doing any real estate stuff because the last 2 realtors I worked with, they wanted to pay $200 for like 2 days worth of work and get fucked.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. That's fucking stupid. And I'm sure shit, I'm not paying for my own gas to drive out to these weird ass houses in the middle of nowhere, and the lockbox is wrong, and the weather sucks, and then I got to edit all these videos to make the weather look good. Fuck that. For $200? Nah, I ain't doing it. But if somebody wants a documentary filming of stuff, let me know. I will go on location, for sure. And yeah, so I have that company, and I also have my contracting company, which is currently being restructured into an S corp or whatever. I don't know. It's fucking nonsense paperwork that doesn't matter. But I currently have my small contracting company, which I've had a few clients this year. You know, off and on. It's kind of spotty, but we're working on more steady clients these days than not. So a few projects have fallen through, a few projects have come through, and I'm just doing the ones that come up. So that is what we're doing. Somebody asked me, would you want to be making YouTube videos full time? And the answer to that has been yes. I would love to be doing that. It's been extremely difficult to launch any more content realistically because of the time constraints that I have with trying to help take care of my daughter, trying to take care of my 2 small businesses and try to keep them afloat and not go fucking broke and lose my house. So things have been kind of interesting. You know, we sold our rental house this year. So I don't have to fucking deal with that shit anymore. Though I will remind people that when you completely trash a rental house, a guy like me is going to have to show up for the next month, painting it, repairing it, replacing all of the fixtures, amongst other things, fixing all the fucking walls, tearing out the carpet, putting in new carpet, you know, all that shit. Really cool. Really cool feature from our renters, who turned out to be kind of monumental douchebags. And I recently was talking to somebody that they were like, well, how bad was it trashed? And so the guys that we hired to help clean out all of the stuff that was left, they on top of the vehicles that were left, they had a 22-foot trailer with sides on it. So it's basically like a big giant dumpster trailer. They filled that up 3 times, and there was still a pile of shit left. So kind of gives you an idea of just how monumentally fucked the place was. And so I fixed that all up. I got it ready for sale. We marketed it, you know, and managed to get that sold. So it's unfortunate. Nobody liked having to do that. I didn't want to have to sell that house. I wanted to keep that house. It was the first house that we'd ever bought. I think realistically at this point right now, I think we probably would have moved back to the Tacoma house from up here, even though we like it so much better up here. I think just from a standpoint of just money out of pocket, like we pay a lot of money up here to live up here, and we moved up here so that I could work more for the co-op. That's the whole reason we moved up here. We relocated so that I could work full time for those guys, and yeah, so. It's tough with making the car as basic as they used to be. Nowadays, a car will get ripped to shreds by reviewers for not having something like wireless Apple Pay, Android Auto. Yeah, I mean, that's true. There are a lot more features in cars now that they have a lot less to deal with. I have to run to the bathroom. I will be right back. Keep them busy. Keep talking to them.
I'll keep talking. Okay. Grover, I agree on the whole scary thing of RFK. Although it's not just the regulatory bodies for me, it's, they're planning to come for ACA. And those of you who have been here for the short time I've been here know that medical health care issues are a big thing for me. And I fully expect that I will lose any and all medical insurance by the end of 2025. And I've already lost business in the week since the election. So either I need to go on disability where I cease to be able to actually do any work, or I somehow, I don't know. I have decided that I will just be a rabble rouser until either I fall over from health issues or something happens. That's my plan. Yay me. I know that I had invited a bunch of people from a liberal prepper Facebook group I'm in over here, so I'm wondering if some of our higher numbers today are from them. What are you guys thinking to do? As stuff changes, how do you think this new administration is going to affect you directly? And now I sit and wait for people to type. He usually leaves us with music. He didn't leave us with music this time. Well, he's getting a lot of things already into place, and businesses are... Do you? Must be super soft. I can't hear it at all. Anyway, oh, I have the sound on the YouTube turned off. That's why. Anyway, a lot of businesses are starting to make changes now to get ahead of what will happen in January. No, it'll be the 20th that he inaugurates. The 6th or around that time is when they certify the election. The formal takeover won't be until the 20th. But...
What up?
Oh, I'm asking troublemaking questions. My question to everybody that was here was, how do they think they are going to be directly affected by the election personally themselves?
I would say realistically, everybody that's, well, actually I was going to say everybody that's in the United States, but I think ultimately it was said in the chat earlier today that this is going to be a global problem. This is literally, I mean, here's the problem is if I come out and say like Nostradamus or whatever, here's the thing that's going to happen. Right.
Right.
The only just desserts of that scenario is a pat on the back that I was right,
Yeah.
which means nothing. It essentially means nothing at the end of it. If whatever I say is untrue, then people go, oh, well, see, you're ridiculous. But here's my assessment. My assessment is the previous Trump administration consistently ran into problems. And when I say problems, these problems were actual human beings that were standing up for the institutions that keeps America on track. Some of them I talked about earlier, but let's talk about the Department of Justice. Let's talk about the FBI, the CIA, the USDA, the National Oceanographic, NOAA, right?
Right.
Atmospheric Administration. At every junction, they would run into somebody who was unwilling to do the insane, extreme things that were wanted, right? There were people in place, there were institutions that existed that were stopping the madness from moving forward. Project 2025 illustrates how to eliminate all of those people and who to replace them with. Donald Trump is an extraordinarily lazy guy. You can see that from how he ran his companies. He often ran his companies just by telling people to do things, and then they would fight about it, and then there would be fallout. And he would laugh about it. That's basically how the entirety of all of his businesses were run. You could read any of the books about him if you want, but he's an extraordinarily lazy guy from the standpoint of, like, is he extremely busy working on his business? No, he's just around. That's it. And it's not a business meeting if you go golfing for 4 hours. That's not a business meeting, and you're not doing work. You're goofing off, and you're probably talking to some people about some stuff that they may or may not want to do. But that is not work. That is not sitting down and diligently working on things that are going on. And when you're the president of the United States, basically 24 hours of your day is a prerequisite to having to work those 24 hours a day diligently about knowing what is going on in Syria, knowing what is going on in Vietnam, knowing what is going on in Australia, knowing what is going on in Russia, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Poland, right? Needing to know all of this shit that is going on. And you can see that on all of the presidents of the past that went through 4 and 8 years of being president, how it looked like they lost 10, 15 years of their life, right?
Yep.
It is an extremely stressful position to be in. And one thing you will notice about Trump, he was just hanging around drinking Diet Cokes and eating Big Macs and shit the whole time. Because he wasn't stressed out about any of this stuff. None of the shit mattered anything to him. He was taking in money from all around the world. Multiple instances of him taking what could only be described as direct bribes from countries, yet did not bother him at all. Didn't hang on his conscience. Just went to bed, got up whenever he felt like getting up, then went about to eating cheeseburgers and drinking Diet Cokes, going golfing, fucking around. We've never had a president that golfed more than Donald Trump. We never had a president that was on vacation more than Trump. We never had a president that owned hotels and had dignitaries from out of country stay in them for exorbitantly inflated rates.
Exactly.
We've never had anything like that before. And one of the things that we had before was people in place in positions of power that stood up and often said, no, we can't do that. That's not possible, right? Bill Barr has illustrated on multiple occasions. If you don't know who Bill Barr was, he's a staunch conservative. He was Donald Trump's attorney general. He talked about having to navigate Donald Trump on most occasions, and basically just had to stroke his ego to get him to change his mind. And that's all that it took. And the reason that air quote rumor goes around that he has a gigantic ego, and if you just please his ego, he'll do whatever you want. The reason that rumor goes around is because it's based in truth, right? It's come from so many people that's the case. I wholeheartedly believe that the reason Donald Trump talks about Kim Jong-il, Putin, and President Xi, the reason that he talks about them so much is that he admires their lifestyle. And if you are not familiar with President Xi, Putin, and Kim Jong-il's lifestyle, I would implore with you, I would beg of you to go research and see how they live. It is a lifestyle of pure opulence. No one ever stands in their way of doing anything they want to do. For instance, going on rides, horseback rides, with bare-chested horseback rides as the fucking president of a country. That's what he's doing. You know, that's what Putin's doing, right?
God, please, not Trump.
They live in a world of absolute yes men, paid for women who will sleep with them. They live eating fucking caviar and golden toilets and all this insane lavish lifestyle. And they never at any point in time have to mix with any people that they do not choose to. And I wholeheartedly believe that Donald Trump is going to attempt to do that here in the United States. He sees that and he wants to emulate that here and attempt to be not necessarily a dictator because he wants to kill a bunch of people or whatever. No, he wants to be a dictator so that he can live the lifestyle that Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-il live, because he realized at one point in time that if you were to take the position of those guys, you don't have to be successful at business. You don't have to be successful at relationships. You don't have to be successful at anything other than just staying in power, right? That's it. That's all you have to do. And that's what he wants to do here.
And even knowing that he's not going to last forever, he's not setting it up so that it'll just revert back to a democracy. That's what a lot of my supposedly moderate Republican or rhino Republican friends say. Oh, well,
he won't.
Once he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that he is not here. He is not here to maintain the United States. No. He is here.
He will have created a theocracy.
Yes,
and that's even worse.
Yeah, like okay, hold on. So
sorry.
If you go through the goals of Project 2025, the reason that Trump can say, I don't have anything to do with those, I don't want anything to do, I don't have anything to do with those, is because he doesn't read. He hasn't read it. He doesn't know what's going on. He had a conversation with somebody who told him it's really good. Don't worry, these are the people. These are the good people. He knows how to hire the good people, right? These are the good people. He's going to hire them. And if you read through Project 2025, it will show you step by step how they are going to dismantle the American institutions that we all rely on a daily basis to have some level of assurance that we will not be nuked off the map by somebody just fucking around, right? And it is in my estimation that the United States is not going to exist
Same thing.
In any way that you see it now. It will no longer be a shining city on the hill. It will no longer be a country that is open. It will no longer be a country that is free. We will end up with federal law overseeing and superseding any kind of state law that exists about a laundry list of things. Like,
all voted in by the people who wanted less government.
If you like blowjobs, guess what? You're going to get in trouble. If you like marijuana, guess what? You're going to get in trouble. If you like pina coladas, you're also going to get in trouble, okay? Like, I want you guys to fully understand and fully grasp the concept that these people fully believe that God is on their side, that there's an imaginary Santa Claus in the sky that is backing all of these decisions. They believe that this is the most important thing to do in their lives, is to strip away all, and when I say all, I mean all, of the freedoms that this country has had to go through acquiring for the average person for the last 246 years or whatever it is. And they will be stripped, they will be removed, all the way down to the point where we will be a segregated society again. Any kind of sodomy will be illegal and punished by time in jail and probably corporal punishment. Corporal punishment will be the law of the land, as it is foretold in these guys' books that they revere so much. Women will be not allowed an equal share of rights in this land. You will not be allowed to vote. You will not be allowed to hold land. You will not be allowed to hold bank accounts. You will not be allowed to have an opinion, right? Rape will be essentially legalized, considering, and I've had this conversation many times before, and people do not understand that they do not think that this ill will survives inside of men's minds. And I cannot tell you enough times that it is true that this evil survives inside of men's minds, that they wish to sexually assault people, generally male or female, right? Doesn't really matter to them. If you want examples of that, just go see the American prison population. And when the female ones end up pregnant, they wholeheartedly understand that less than 1% of the perpetrators of that crime will even do time, and they won't do time longer than the 18 years of that child's life. They want to return paternity rights over any maternal rights. And if you don't understand what that means, I'll dumb it down for you. It will mean that the man holds all of the rights over the child instead of the mother. So you can wholeheartedly start to understand what it is that the world that they envision in their mind is, that a man could put a seed inside of a woman, and for the entirety of that child's life, that man will have ownership over the child and the woman. I do not know very many women in this world that would willingly just give up their child because a man just says, yeah, that's what's going on, right? Historically speaking, women would have to stand on the sidelines to avoid them and their child being murdered by these psychotic men. But that is the world that they envision. That is the world that they envision returning to. As a matter of fact, in an interview with Donald Trump, he has been talking about going back to the 1890s. He's also mentioned enforcing laws from 1853. He's also talked about enforcing laws from 82 or something. He is wanting to return to a time, a chaotic time, where men ruled over women.
Yeah, he wants to protect us for our own good, because
yeah,
apparently we can't make our own minds up.
Whether you like it or not.
That's
which
right.
are his words. Those are his words.
And that is what that has been the main argument. Every time somebody says, oh, now who's overreacting, I say,
right,
you guys imagined all these threats that supposedly leftists and liberals are going to do to the right. I'm taking your candidate at his word, not something that I may have imagined or I'm extrapolating from, at his specific word. Oh, well, he didn't mean it.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can't believe him when he talks, but you have to believe him when he talks. It's just it's incredibly insane.
And as the mother of a daughter, a
Recap
breeding
Harris.
age daughter.
Recap Harris says, I think we are seeing wide swings of the pendulum back and forth between the far right and the far left, toxic woke. And eventually, in several years, it will hopefully stabilize into something better. I hate to break the news to you, but like this is the downfall. Like, you know, there is no stabilizing into something better when they are going to be able. Like, I want you guys to understand something. Like, YouTube exists at the behest of the fact that Section 230 has been upheld, right? Section 230 essentially absolves YouTube from being sued because of the content on here, right? Because they're not considered a publisher, or how does that go? I'm not a legal officer of the law or anything.
They're not the creators, they're the host.
Yeah, they're the host of the content that is on here, so they are not subject to litigation. That will be overturned immediately, and essentially YouTube is probably going to go by the wayside. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that I get to be a YouTube creator still. The chances of it coming true are pretty high. And the reality there will be, once Section 230 is repealed, YouTube will be open to all sorts of litigation, right? And the litigation will come from the extreme right. Okay? The extreme right, which is funded by billionaires. And if anybody ever has a question about that, Elon Musk is up there fucking jumping around and showing off his fucking tum-tum like an idiot, like a total buffoon, and just kowtowing to anything of Trump's will, because Elon Musk understands that if he doesn't have American subsidies to keep his companies alive, he would be fucking immediately bankrupt. So, yeah. The litigation will begin, and Google will say, this is too costly to continue doing business. And to anybody who says, like, Google's too big to fail or whatever, I don't know. How big was MySpace? How big was America Online? How big was, what is it, Bell, the telephone company?
Bell.
Yeah. These companies all went away and disappeared, right? And it is 100% possible for Google to go away and disappear and get replaced with Elon Musk's version of YouTube, right? Where only right-wing fucking insane bullshit is going to be blasting out on the airwaves, right?
And don't think that
like-
just because you're not a YouTube creator, it won't affect you because you don't get to watch it. I use Starlink.
Yeah.
If I get targeted by being an idiot and saying something they don't like, Elon Musk quite literally can go, oh, flick of a switch, bye-bye.
Right.
And I have no connection with the rest of the world.
Right. Mark Zuckerberg has bowed down, right? So there goes Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yep. And WhatsApp.
TikTok has already been banned in the United States. They just have to do nothing and just let it happen, right?
Same with Canada.
Trump will have influenced all of the judges that will be on the cases for not banning TikTok, so TikTok will be gone. WhatsApp is Chinese, so they'll just ban it. It won't work on your phone anymore. You won't have it anymore. Discord is through Microsoft, and Bill Gates, he's putting chips in the vaccines and shit. So obviously they'll be able to blast Discord away until it's gone. The point is, what I'm trying to explain to people is that they're going to fundamentally go through all of these systems and delete them until they're gone, right?
Or bleach through them like a COVID cure from Trump, yes.
Yeah, it's not even a bleaching of them. You just make them go away. They don't exist anymore, and people can't do anything about it.
Right. Truth Social is your only social networking choice.
Yeah,
Sure.
X, and Truth Social, I guess. I don't know. So, I mean, you look at Twitch. Twitch is owned by Jeff Bezos, right? They're under extreme scrutiny right now because they banned new accounts from being formed in Israel for the last year. So,
well,
for those of you that say that like there's no way that they could do that, like Twitch was doing that as a private company in Israel for an entire year, and that was happening. And guess what? Because people couldn't make new accounts, they couldn't tell anybody that they couldn't get new accounts, and it just went on, right? And it's just going to keep going. Like there isn't going to be a pendulum swing. As much as people are hoping for it, it's not going to be there. It's not going to exist.
And the people that think
I
that
kept trying to tell people that like this is the last chance to maintain democracy, which to me is, and I've said this time and time again, if you are somebody who has not been to my live stream before, just ask anybody. And I mean, just ask anybody. Just go down to the gas station, ask anybody. I've been saying for years and years and years that maintaining democracy is the most important thing that we could possibly do in this country. And that is going to be eliminated. There is no, we'll just get to vote again, right? We don't have that. That's not, people say God grants us these immutable rights, right? Like, it's not God, it's us. The people are making these things happen, and there's no guarantee that they will happen again.
So, I know I kept trying to talk about Bezos, so I didn't mean to talk over you. The interesting thing about that for me was the lack of endorsement from both Washington Post and LA Times, both of which he owned. And people were saying, oh, well, he doesn't want to anger Trump. Whereas I think Bezos is just secretly in step with Musk and Trump. And I know this is conspiracy theory-esque, but he wants those nuclear plants along the Columbia. And the EPA would block those in a heartbeat.
Oh, no, they've already filed the paperwork. They're already...
Yep, but if it's just the state alone fighting it after Trump gets into office, that's going to be a much, much harder block.
It really won't matter. I mean, they're already selling off. In Wyoming, they sold off part of the Grand Teton Park. Let's see this. I don't want to misquote here. Wyoming officials approve $100 million sale of the Grand Teton National Park land to the government. Wyoming officials made the decision this week to sell a portion of land within the Grand Teton National Park to the federal government. The Wyoming Board of Land Commissions approved the sale 3-2, or in a 3-2 vote, of the state's Kelly parcel for $100 million to the U.S. Department of Interior on Thursday. The board is made up of 5 state officials, including Governor Mark Gordon, who voted in favor of the sale. A closing date on the sale has yet to be set. Megan Degenfelder, Wyoming Superintendent of Public Instruction, voted against the sale, favoring a table of the decision for a later meeting. The fuck happened to my chat again?
Green.
She also expressed support for a trade deal rather than an outright sale. One of Degenfelder's main concerns about the amount of land the federal government already owns in Wyoming. She said 48% of the state's surface area and 65% of the state's minerals are owned by the federal government. I want to protect the Kelly parcel from development. I have recreated there. I've hunted there. I've fished there. I've climbed the Grand Teton, as I believe the governor has. I don't want to see that be developed. Degenfelder said on Thursday, I do want the best deal for Wyoming, and this is the most valuable piece of property Wyoming has ever had. To me, we can't sell Wyoming short. Others expressed concern in delaying the project, which has been in the works for more than 15 years, including Grand Teton National Park Foundation President Leslie Matson. Since March 2023, the foundation has raised more than $38 million to assist the federal government with the $100 million parcel purchase. If this transaction gets delayed, I think we're in a real jeopardy of losing that funding, given tax year planning for many of our donors who expect to provide funding before the 31st of December. That will be problematic for us and then puts us in a challenging situation to go back to them in the future. Matson told the board on Thursday. That money isn't fulfilled to our organization. It could go elsewhere to other organizations across the country and won't be used to fund public education in Wyoming. Matson was one of many speakers who shared their thoughts on the sale with the board during more than 3-hour-long meeting. Grand Teton Superintendent Chip Jenkins was another who highlighted the importance of the national park to the state. All across Wyoming, new Welcome to Wyoming signs are being installed along state highways, and prominent on the state highway signs is a picture of Grand Teton National Park. That is one of many examples of how Grand Teton National Park is important to the state of Wyoming.
Because we've got it on our signs.
Yeah.
So.
Jenkins added that the national park will stand ready for what the future holds, prioritizing tourism, conservation, and supporting local schools. Yesterday, the Wyoming State Board of Land Commissions took an important step towards protecting the 640-acre Kelly parcel as a part of Grand Teton National Park for the enjoyment of all Americans while providing significant funding for Wyoming schools. We appreciate Wyoming and its residents' continued support for the protection of incredible wildlife and scenery in the area. We look forward to working with them to complete this important effort.
Isn't
now,
that
the reason why the reason what
isn't that the same park that the Big Ears plot where they wanted to drill?
Yeah,
for oil is in.
Yeah, I'm getting into that. So the reason why this is so strange that this deal finally went through. One of the things that's important to note here is that Wyoming is a failed state. Okay, Wyoming is a failed state that can't fund its own projects within its own industrialization, right? There are not enough people living there. There's not enough business working there that is essentially having to pay enough taxes to maintain the population that is very, very, very small in Wyoming. I believe one of the few places that I've ever considered moving to was the backside of the Tetons. I am wildly in love with the Grand Tetons. I love it. I love them so much. Vicky knows this. She thought I was going to propose to her there, and that still ultimately is the plan, but she figured it out, so I didn't do it. But I love the Grand Tetons so much, but this 640-acre parcel, the reason that this is such a big deal is that this area has essentially been sold to the federal government that is in order to be developed, and it's going to be developed into likely a living area that is not even going to be lived in. It's essentially just going to be a tourist area. So there's going to be hotels and condos in this area that really doesn't need hotels or condos. There's no reason for them to do it. The people are claiming that this is for the schools, which the schools could easily be funded if they were able to bring in some kind of industry to Wyoming in order to, so that the people there could survive. Vicky and I looked at 6 different properties in Wyoming to potentially buy about 8 years ago now because we were thinking about moving to Wyoming. We wanted to move there. And one of the big reasons that we didn't is that they're a fundamentally isolated society to the point where you would talk to people back then and they sound like the MAGA people now, right? And that was one of the big issues that we didn't move there. We went to one of the towns. We looked at the property that we wanted to buy, and we thought, "Wow, we We should buy this property. This is perfect. It had a big giant old warehouse on it that I wanted to convert into a crazy living space, which has always been my dream to do that. Fancy people call them barn dominiums now, but you get what I'm saying. And one of the biggest problems that we ran into was we went to see the local schools and see what was going on there, and they had a picture of their graduating class. Their graduating class had about 12 people in it, and Dark Lumen is wondering if this is live. Yes, this is live.
Surprise!
Anyhow, they had a picture of a graduating class there. It looked like it had about 12 people in it, and we thought, wow, that's a really small graduating class. That's kind of wild. And when we went and looked closer at the picture, it was like, I don't think all of these people could be graduating. That doesn't make a lot of sense. This man has a gray beard. He can't be graduating from high school. That doesn't make a lick of sense. So I actually asked for some clarification for somebody that was there. We're like, what's going on here with this the class graduation picture? Like, where's all the kids? And there was one kid who had graduated from the high school, and the 11 or 10 other people that were in the background were all of the teachers. And in some perfect world, you would like to think that if your kid had 12 teachers and was being instructed by 12 teachers, wow, they must have had the greatest education of all time. But the unfortunate side of it was that the kids there are so isolated from socialization that they don't really even know what is going on in the world. And it was like, I don't think that we can... I don't think that we could go through with moving here and Olivia being in a school all alone. This is before we had Olivia, but we were like, man, we're going to have our kids that were going to be in school by themselves. And their entire school district had 8 kids spread out through the 12 grades. And so it was a little bit shocking, realistically. But I don't want to cut the stream off, but we've only made $10 today, and I can't go broke live streaming, and I'm getting a lot of phone calls. So I believe that there must be something happening. Why does the chat revenue say $12? Did we get a super chat? The Shrimp Father, a.k.a. Martin, we got a $2 super chat. I didn't even notice that. It didn't even show up on the thing. It just says we have 2 of 10. Oh, I guess we're outside of the 2-hour thing.
Yep.
Let's see. Dark Luma says, I still think it could be pre-recorded. He could be trying to pass a premiere as a live stream. It's true, like, I've thought about doing that in the past, just for fun, just to fuck with people. I've thought about doing that in the past, and I was going to pre-record one, but I think I talked about doing that on the live stream, so it already spoiled it. Like it was a thing that I had thought about doing. But the reason that I thought about doing it was just like when I would be out of town, and like if I was out of town, I could have just played the pre-recording and then just acted like it was there. But the big issue with that is that I have to get a person. I have to get a person to play the video instead of like me doing it remotely, like from my phone. Does that make sense? Like, because it would only upload as a video. It wouldn't upload as a live stream, right? And then people would know. They were like, oh, wait, this is just a pre-recorded live stream. Like, they would have known. So then therein lies the problem, is that I would have had to get somebody to like come in here into my office and have them do it, right? Have them do it from here, and then the whole thing just gets all fucking stupid, because then it's like, then there actually is somebody live streaming that's here. Then I could have just had them live stream and just be a stand-in for the day, right? And so the whole thing just turns into a clusterfuck of stupid ideas. Although there was a guy who did that who allegedly, I will say allegedly because I don't know what has happened with the court case or anything like that, but he played a pre-recorded live stream and allegedly murdered somebody, like his girlfriend, and that who's using that as his alibi, but they figured it out. Right. And so I don't have any like good reason to do it other than just to like fun with people, right? Like I thought it would have just been funny to laugh about it. So but like if I had been out of town and then people would be like, "Yeah, but I saw you at Vivarium." Like you can't be live streaming. I see you at the convention. That's impossible. And I'd be like, "Listen, everybody has a myth, right? Like there's some things are legendary and like maybe you just don't understand it. Or maybe I have like a sexier twin.
The TARDIS is in my room.
Would I have like a Hey, wait a minute. If I had a sexier twin, he would probably have a fatter dick, wouldn't he? Uncool. Very uncool, okay? So, to be clear, I don't have a sexy twin with a fatter dick, but if I did, he would. Okay.
I mean, shit.
And then have you ever seen Highlander? Have you ever seen Highlander starring the guy who beats his wife? There's the guy who beats his wife. Who's that guy?
Oh.
Sean Connery. Sean Connery, who just beat the shit out of his wife all the time. And Barbara Walters asked him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, but I don't close my fist. I use an open hand." Anyhow.
Dark Lumen, what is your damage?
That guy's in it. That guy's in Highlander, and the whole thing about Highlander is there can be only one, and then they have to behead each other, and then lightning gives the power to the other guy. So that's what would happen if there was a sexier twin of mine with a fatter dick. It would be like Highlander. I would have to behead him and steal his power via lightning. Okay? So
okay.
If I was somebody who was watching my content, I would be hoping that there is a twin that is sexier with a fatter dick, because you could look forward to the Highlander games coming up. Anyhow, I'm just fucking with you because this really isn't pre-recorded. I wish it was. I wish I was that talented, but here's the thing. If I was pre-recorded, I wouldn't go on so many tangents. It would just look like one of my recorded videos, you know, where I'd be like, "Hey guys, we're going to stay on topic because there isn't any chat to read and I don't have to pee my pants, you know, all that stuff." Which I didn't pee my pants. Luckily, I went to the bathroom, and you guys just waited.
And we're glad of all of that.
It's pretty funny. I did know this was coming. I had a premonition. I did have a premonition that this was coming, and I actually did pre-record this. So, yes.
He's just that good.
We just got a $20 super chat from Grover saying, "Here's a little for the group therapy session." I appreciate it, you know, and I have to admit that, like, I don't even know if it's jealousy that I was feeling for Tim Pool getting all that fucking Russian media money, because the reality is I don't know if I'm jealous of something that I would have, like, not taken. You know what I mean? Like, if the Russians wanted to give me a bunch of money to give this, like, positive Russian take on all the shit, like, the war in Ukraine, I fully back the Ukrainians, and I personally think that we should just send troops in. That's to the degree that I wholeheartedly agree with the Ukrainians. Now, I don't think we should send offensive troops in. I think we should send in backup troops, support personnel, right? And if Putin decides to keep the war going and it eventually starts to affect our troops that are supporting the effort, then maybe we get into the war side of it with our offensive troops, right? That's how much I support Ukraine, and I would have just turned that money away, right? I don't know if it's I don't think it's jealousy about the money that they got. It's jealousy of they have quite a bit of audience, and they have quite a bit of audience that is also supporting what they're doing. And I wish that hindsight is 2020. I wish I wouldn't have signed on with such a toxic company at the time that I did, and I wish I would have just stayed doing my independent thing. because I think I probably would have weathered the storm much better, because the storm was pretty intense for my YouTube channel. For the first time that Trump won, and I spoke out about Trump, and I said how much I dislike Trump and how much I dislike the disinformation coming from the Trump people. I've spoke out on the benefits of vaccines, and that has been seen incredibly negatively from the MAGA people. And that company that I used to work for literally kowtows itself to the MAGA crowd, because that's why they moved to Kentucky. They wanted to appeal to the MAGA people, and that's what they're doing. And more power to them. I allow that. I'm not saying that they can't do that or shouldn't do that. I just am glad that I'm not a part of it anymore. And don't necessarily have to not tell people to fuck off when I feel like telling them to fuck off, right? So I wish I had just stayed independent. I wish I had just stayed doing my own thing. And we would have weathered the storm of COVID. We would have weathered the storm of the Donald Trump first administration, and then moving to how many people freaked the fuck out when Joe Biden won and just piss baby cried into their cell phones because they're aquariums, I guess. I don't know. And I mean, that I'll say this at the cost of like probably not being invited to conventions. Fine. I don't care. I don't want to go to your fucking shitty ass convention where everybody is on MDMA and cocaine and drugs and shit. I'm a sober guy. I'm not interested in your fucking teenage party for fish. I don't fucking care. Yeah, at the cost of losing advertisers or whatever, like, yeah, it's fine. I really don't care. So we're just going to continue on. But after weathering both of those storms, it is disheartening sometimes when you realize like just how much support I lost, and how difficult it is going to be to get it back, because having to maintain the amount of money that I have to pay out right now means that I just don't have the time to sit down and edit videos, right? It just really is fundamentally the problem, is like every single day I get to the point where it's like 11:30 at night and I'm like, I could go edit right now, but there's just no way that I can go do it because I'll be up till 4 or 5 in the morning, and I have to hit work starting at 6, if not earlier, to get to job sites on time and stuff like that. And work has been pretty piecemeal. It's been a little bit rough. It's been a rough year, but it is what it is. So, like I said, it's ever forward, and we're just going to keep moving forward and doing what we're doing. And everybody, all those fucking shitheel people can just stay in the back mirror. I don't give a fuck, as far as I'm concerned. So, moving on. It's November 11th, 2024. Not the last time, but we're probably getting close to getting banned off the fucking internet. So whatever. No. I wish no ill will on anybody, but it's difficult at this time to really feel optimistic about any of this shit. Yeah, I can't stand right-wing media either. It is fucking abysmal. But I love you guys. We're running up on the time where I have to go relieve my spouse so that she can go to her Monday night meeting. But love you guys. Hope you stay safe out there. And yeah, go Biden. I don't fucking know.
Goodbye.